What's up, guys? My name's Kit Dale. I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and a two-time World Pro Champion. I've been training and competing and coaching in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for the last 8 years, and I've discovered some things that's really changed the way I learn Jiu-Jitsu. For those who don't know me, I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in 2008. I received my black belt in just over 4 years, and it was in Australia where we didn't have high-level coaches and I didn't have any background grappling experience. Now, the reason why I excelled so much is the way I looked at learning Jiu-Jitsu, okay? The first thing I discovered that really changed the way I looked at it, and I want to tell you today, is there is no perfect technique. That's something that a lot of people really struggle to understand, that there is no perfect technique. Most people start Jiu-Jitsu training the same way. They learn 3 techniques a night, they drill it till it becomes muscle memory, and they practice in live training. The problem is that they're looking for perfection in techniques, okay, which doesn't exist. It's like chasing your tail around like a dog. Now, what you really need to understand is you can have the most crisp technique done at the wrong time will never work. Or you can have the sloppiest technique done at the right time will work. So what governs whether a technique works or not is the timing. That's the most important thing. And to discover timing is a whole different ballgame. You don't discover it through drilling. You discover reaction speed through drilling. You discover timing through experience. Okay? Because timing is just deception. How to discover through experience is what I'm going to teach you today in my 4-step formula, which is basically trial and error, but I try to make it a little bit easier to understand. Now, it's ESER, which sounds like ESSA, which is not really cool, so I'm just going to call it what it is. Evaluate, select, execute, and reflect. That's the 4 things you do when you're problem solving, whether through trial and error. You're problem solving. You do those things over and over again. Evaluate. When you're in a situation, you evaluate the problem. You come up with all the information, you take all the variables in, and you evaluate it. Second, you select. You decide based on what you evaluated, a solution for that situation. Then you execute it. You executed that solution based on what you evaluated, and then afterwards you reflect on what happened. Did it work? Did it not work? Why didn't it work? If you do these things over and over again, you start developing a fundamental understanding of Jiu-Jitsu far greater than if you were just given techniques, okay? Now, this here just goes around and around. The problem is it's quite hard to just get thrown in the deep end and start doing that without any information in Jiu-Jitsu. That's why I don't mind a lot of people starting with some techniques, but understanding that they're just solutions to one particular problem. Anytime a variable changes, so does the solution. So don't get attached to that idea. You can skin a cat many ways. So you got to understand that, getting from point A to point B can be done 100 different ways. The idea is to do it in a way that your opponent least expects, and that's all about deception and timing. The more you do this, the easier it gets. The quicker you start coming up with problems. And then what happens is you start understanding that when you first practice Jiu-Jitsu in techniques, your Jiu-Jitsu looks like this. It looks like a branch tree diagram. So you go to A to B, you have one move, then you've got another move here, another move here, another move here, and you basically start growing it out like a tree branch diagram. The problem is when you practice Jiu-Jitsu that way, you start creating muscle memory, which is habits, which is like a choreographed dance routine. It becomes hard to deviate from it. Not only does it take so much time to practice it, it takes so much more time to deviate from it. You become like a victim to that movement. Like Bruce Lee always said, technique is a trap and style is a prison, and you become stuck on that to techniques that are not perfect, okay? If you start learning this way and you learn from trial and error, what happens is every time you go through this system over and over again, you start understanding things, you start realizing things, you start seeing things through experience. Experiential learning is the most important key to learning Jiu-Jitsu. What happens when you learn through experience is you start discovering common themes. I'm going to use this texter here. I hope I didn't step out of the camera. You start discovering common themes. You start seeing things that happen over and over again. So instead of your tree branch looking like this, you start going back and forth. You start connecting these dots. Okay, this is a very basic sort of situation of what happens. Then after that, you start seeing the common themes, the rules behind it, the concepts, the ideas, the formulas that make every single technique work. You start discovering these things because your understanding of Jiu-Jitsu becomes so great. Then what happens is you start transcending this kind of look here to more of this, okay, which looks like a neurological pathway of the brain, which is basically what you do. You start understanding Jiu-Jitsu on an unbelievable level where you can go back and forth, you can go anywhere, you can deviate from certain things. You understand that going back, going linear here is just a shell of jiu-jitsu. What you want to start doing is discovering how to go around, how to go through here, how to go there. Because he may know, your opponent may know that you can do this, but he may not know that you could do this or this. So you start getting this kind of stuff looking here, where you can go back and forth any way you want. You start freeing yourself. And this is what Bruce Lee always spoke about, was like, be like water. Water can flow, it can crash. You got to empty your mind, you got to flow, all that kind of stuff. Don't be stuck in those traps of technique. Free yourself from that. Discover your own jiu-jitsu through this system, through trial and error, and your understanding of jiu-jitsu will be so great that you can learn new moves, you can articulate what you're doing on a much greater level. Thank you for watching this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did and you want to see more like this, you can go to kitdaletraining.com. I've got a whole bunch of products available there. I advise you looking at the Art of Learning Jiu-Jitsu Volume 1 and 2 as I cover these topics in much greater detail. Otherwise, please like, share, and comment, and have a great Christmas and an amazing holiday. Take it easy, guys.